You're awesome. Well, guess what, guys? If you're just joining in, welcome to a special edition of Cheplak Live, realestatemarketingshow.com, and a special edition for you guys in Lab Coat Agents. So we're pretty excited, and we're going to jump right in, John, if you don't mind, while you get into your special spot, man. So one of the things about 60 to 90 days ago when I talked to you last, our biggest and most important thing was to emerge out of this thing as leaders. And we talked about a bunch of different stuff on my podcast, on your podcast. And I think we all see the light at the end of the tunnel now. And I'm sure there's some debate over that, and that's all fine. But for the most part, I think the agents and the team leaders, it's time to get ready to actually let's relaunch our team. Like, this is a really good time to recommit to the business, relaunch, and go in with a bunch of great attitude. I've been completely rebranding. I've been completely dumping a bunch of money into the business, training the team, hiring a bunch of people. And it's important to me that I had you on here because you and I have very similar coaching styles. And if you guys don't know me, I'm sorry, I'm Mike Bjorkman out of Southern California, run a team, property management company, coach some of the top agents in the nation. And Jon Cheplak over here, one of the most awesome coaches on the planet, awesome speaker, awesome coach, and helps huge brokerages, massive teams, and top agents alike. So we just thought we'd have a talk about how to emerge out of this as leaders and how to relaunch our team into success fast. So let me start by, I wrote down a couple of notes from one of your podcasts that you did, and we were talking somewhat about confidence and fear and emotions. Based on today's market, seeing the light at the tunnel, how would you follow up from that like you did 60 days ago?
Sure. It's the one thing that, and first of all, thank you, Mike, and everyone or anyone that watches this. It is truly a privilege anytime I get to share, and I hope that our conversation, I know that Mike and I enjoy our exchanges. I hope that everyone enjoys and gets some value from our conversation. As a guy that's long in the tooth in the business, 32 years, the one thing I kept saying through it in the beginning, and I say it today, and I will continue to as long as I'm fortunate enough to do this, is that all things have changed. Everything's really the same. And, some things that I look at, you look at competency and confidence. Those are two things that have always been in play in a fast-moving industry, a fast-moving world that we're in, and we hear disruption from a standpoint of not from the model standpoint. We'll hear it from there's models that are disruptive. There's technology that's disruptive, and so much. And then we hear innovation. Yet, what's very interesting is that I think that the neat thing that has happened in this experience we're all having together, and we'll continue to have, it's experience of life, is it created a consciousness of bringing us back to core principles as humans. I believe, I know it did me and the people close to me, and we've talked about that. And by default, when that happens, it takes us back to the core principles of our business. And so, what I would say is, when you look at business, we can overcomplicate it with being innovative and being disruptive. But when you come back around to it, in all the different models and technology, it's all the human experience. And so simplifying it is that with the highest level of competence and skills that our industry has with all the training, there's this thing called confidence. Well, what's that have to do with what we're going through? Well, it has to do with our emotions. And our emotions, when we are in a space where our emotions are challenged, where we have an emotional block, we're unable to show up with the competence that we already have. So that's, as I look at the competence and the confidence on those two pieces, those are the big ones. And the neat thing that I've seen, whether by default or a conscious choice, is I've seen the folks that have really grasped that in themselves and worked on that and focused on it and going, yeah, it's the basics in me. And then have taken it out to those they lead, seeing just remarkable things take place in their business. I mean, it's not a reentry. I mean, they got their arms around that, and it's rocket fuel right now. Crazy.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride, man. I was so afraid of losing opportunity that I went on beast mode. Like I was like, there is no way I'm going to lose a penny. I'm going to lose a relationship. There's no way I'm not going to emerge out of this as a leader, right? So I was doing 3 to 4 live public Zooms. I was getting super active in my community. I cut all my expenses that were wasted, redumped all that back into my business. I went on recruiting mode and put myself back into production. And what happened was we started selling a house every single day, or at least every other day. We recruited 5 people in the last 2 weeks for teams that were looking for, much better leadership. And it's just our clients, our customer service went up. My team's actually been more productive from home. So we have all these new little things that we're just super excited about. And I think I wanted to talk to you about a couple of the lessons that you personally learned going through this with business, because I learned a lot. I learned a lot about agents. I learned a lot about, like you said, confidence, competence. I learned a lot about, people's ability to. And I think you said it in one of your podcasts. You could be the cheerleader. You could be the watcher, the voyeur, or whatever. I mean, I was learning all those things like that, and really watching all that stuff come true. And based on that, I was able to redesign my thoughts and my business in my head for what I wanted it to be like from here on out. And what's funny is I focus so much on relationships now that it's ridiculous, And finally, feature dumping won't be everything I do anymore, because you are right, man. If I've learned something over the last several months is people join people first, man. And like you always say, the heart chooses and the mind justifies, and all that has come together and slapped me across the face so hard. And everybody's like, man, you're actually such a much nicer, calmer, slowed down dude, and you're much more enjoyable. Even though I was on 100% beast mode over the last few months, apparently I was at peace with myself because I figured a bunch of stuff out. So I was curious. I said, what has Jon Cheplak learned about people and personally learned about his business over the last couple of months, and how could that affect our friends watching this and listening to this, their teams, getting benefit out of that?
Sure.
That was a lot, I know.
No, it's not. And I say this not for Jon Cheplak. I say it hopefully to encourage everyone else. I learned that, or was reminded that we all have what we need within us. And they're all things. And I think my biggest thing is that, and Gary Zukav taught me it on a mountaintop many years ago, is that we get going so fast seeking, because we're all growth oriented, that everything that we need is right in front of us and we just look past it. So I learned that, I learned the reminder of speed, slowing down to speed up. I learned that reminder that all of us go through things differently.
Yeah.
I learned that reminder of that consciousness of really that walking that tightrope of love and support versus stress. I've learned that that reminder is sometimes you need to just leave situations and things alone to let them self-discover. The biggest thing that I've learned, though, is that in observing myself too, I mean, family's important to me as it is to you, is that that reminder of what are we doing this for? And when we come back to the, and it's that reminder that real estate isn't who we are, it's what we do to experience who we are. So that if we show up as the, and listen, I'm learning, I'm a lifelong learner like you, and I want to be progressive. I'm trying to keep up with my dogman coaching clients. I mean, it's just the truth.
You work with some dudes, man, for reals.
Yeah, I mean, they're bananas. But I've learned that maybe I've heard it before and I strive for it and go at it. But I've learned that just keeping it super, super simple is everything. We hear it over and over and over again. I've learned that expenses can get away from everyone when things are going good, and I learned too that we can focus on the wrong things, because just like and I'm not saying what you did was wrong or what I focused on was wrong, but when you pull back, just like what you said is beautiful, and I had to do that with all my clients, is that every single one of them, did we slash expenses, or did we look at expenses and go, how the heck did that get on my freaking expense line? You know what I mean?
99.
So I don't know, and please know this, Mike and everyone else, I don't know, at 53 years old, there's a bunch more I can learn, but I think the biggest thing, and hearing from my clients too, is learning that we have everything we need, and we sometimes forget about that and shoot past the target. And if we just stay in that space, just like where you've said that you just come back to this, it's who you are as a human, but you just come back with that obsession with the human experience, everything's going to turn out really good. And I'm not saying be milquetoast, and I'm not saying be woo-woo. I mean, I'm talking about, having teeth in your relationships, having teeth in your connectivity, having teeth in contribution, having teeth in self-assessment, having teeth in humility, having teeth in personal responsibility, instead of just saying it.
I love that, man. That's basically where I wanted to go with, us learning about relationships and diving deep. So I wanted to switch it a little bit over to business.
Sure.
So we talk about emerging as leaders. So, and in your opinion, or I'll just say my opinion, or what has happened over the last several months, is I have been so in the public eye with confidence, with power, with good information, and like we talk about, no calls to action, just really just being there for the community, being there for my friends and my clients. And honestly, and I said it in the beginning, I said, look, whoever hides under a rock is going to miss out. Whoever's out in full force is going to emerge as a leader. And I was 150% right. My business is shot through the ceiling. And every single time I ask somebody, why did you call me? What made you text me? What made you Facebook message me? And they say, it's your video. It's your video. It's your video. I saw your live. I saw your video. I got your email video. And I just wanted to, because you and I both feel the same way about video, man. It's like everything. So I wanted to talk about, so if it's not too late for people to emerge as leaders. So as far as video, what should we be focusing on, in your opinion, as community leaders, as real estate agents and team leaders that really want to get a lot of listings and support the community and, just kind of ride that, we're on top wave?
Sure, I'll go to, the first thing to always think about is that no one can, you look at the heart chooses, the mind justifies. So you look at a vehicle, or you look at messaging. And so then the next thing to look at is, okay, so this is a vehicle I have, this is a technology I have, this is a messaging I have. Okay, awesome. Now let me go and see meet my customer, meet my audience, meet them where they're at. Well, where were they before this? They were in sales skepticism. Interesting to note, it's an objection that's rarely handled. And if you really think about it deeply, you can't sell someone out of sales skepticism. I mean, there's just no logic to it. You can't objection handle someone out of sales skepticism. So what I would go back to, and it's pretty interesting because it's away from where maybe people are thinking right now. Sales skepticism's always been there. Y'all have it. Go into the shoe store when you're able to, and let me know the script you give the shoe salesperson. It's the same script I have, just looking. That's sales skepticism. So the first thing I would go to there is saying, okay, we've got this video's a vehicle, social media's a vehicle, email's a vehicle, or texting's a vehicle. Sales skepticism, how do I handle that? Well, I need to lower their guard. That's my number one objective as a salesperson. That's just like exactly, Mike, if I go to a granular level of what you've articulated about where you decided to connect. I mean, you've always been that person, but then this just laser focus is you went to this space of meeting people where they're at and lowering their guard. And the way you lower their guard is to nurture from a definition that's different from our industry. And I get it. I understand the cadences and I understand the frequency of reaching out to people. And you can reach out to people, you can email people as much as you want to and video them all you want to, as long as the message right. You know, so this space of nurturing, care for, encourage, support, educate, and inform. So I've got this video vehicle and I've got sales skepticism. I need to lower their guard. And so to really be thoughtful about it. And what I mean be thoughtful is methodical, so that you're just not throwing, just throwing videos out there. And caveat, my crappy video will always outperform everyone's absent video. So then you take a look at what was brought forward, a few things to think forward, because we've got to look at the human psyche. The human psyche thing of sales skepticism first. The second one in the human psyche that showed up for us was uncertainty. So you threw kind of this, and not to minimize the circumstance we're in, but you threw a cherry on top of this damn thing called sales skepticism, and you threw uncertainty on top of it. Thanks a lot. Now what? Okay.
Totally.
Right. And so again, I pose the question, can I objection handle someone out of uncertainty? Can I sell them out of uncertainty? No. And it's right where you went back to. You went to nurture, empathy, care for, encourage, support, educate, and inform. So when we look at that vehicle of video, it's easy to say, well, just do this. Well, what I want to do is I want to share with everyone the thought process and what to do, because many times people ask, Mike, as you know, well, now I don't know what to say, or I don't know what to do. And so I wanted to give you that, meet people where they're at. I need to reassure them. And so number one, it is, so with looking at the approach to it, now the next thing that I want to share with everyone, though, too, from a psyche standpoint, I just want to tell you, and I don't lead from fear, neither does Mike, but we lead from truth. And that truth can come across wrong. So I'm going to give it to you really intense. Here's an exercise I need you to do if you're not doing video, because you're going to get left behind. And let me tell you why. Sure, people could say that in 60, 90 days ago. Well, I can just promise you now, because the amount of Zoom meetings went up by 100 million a day, month over month. Let me ask you another question. Did the amount of usage of FaceTime go up? Probably. I'll just let everyone put that in your pipe and smoke it. Okay. And then what you can continue to do, say, okay, just like with anything, Mike, the MLS book was the gold, and then that went away, things went online. Well, guess what? The consumer's expectation changes with usage. The consumer's expectation, so they go to the web, away from the book. Okay. Now the consumer's usage of video. I mean, you were, even though you were quarantined, didn't mean you had to live under a rock, but you were under a rock if you don't recognize and have it running through your veins, and knowing that I better get going on video. Let me tell you something. I'm talking about to a standard in organizations, high performers, peers of yours, Mike, that, if a video text doesn't go out with the lead that comes in now, off. Like it's non-negotiable. Yeah. And pre-appointment, post-appointment. And what I want to say to everyone on this is right now is, and it's okay. Am I saying that you're going to, can someone sell real estate without doing video? Sure they can, but I'm going to tell you something. And Mike, I'd look for you on this. I'll tell you what I am seeing right now, and I want everyone to come along. But I'm seeing a separation happening.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
right.
That's in my notes coming up next. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I would say to you is, you just absolutely have to. It's a non-negotiable. Let me give you the exercise. I want you to think about someone you love dearly. My daughter, who I've got a lot of responsibility for, and always will. We all do, with some health situations, and I'll use my example. I want to go to her and give her the freedom as she navigates through. Anything can happen in her her life, the unknowns that we have, the uncertainties we have with her, and things are great right now. But to be able to go, I want you to think about this, and this is how serious it is, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to think about your personal situation. I want you to think about your children. I want you to think about your significant other. I want to think about your mom or your dad or a friend, or I want you to think about something that you contribute to. That it's all purely contribution that has to do, that's linked to your success that you've had. Because remember, money's just a vehicle. It's just a vehicle to do those things. And I want you to go up to that person you've promised or you hope something for, that you said you were going to do something for, and you're not able to deliver. And I want you to, if you're not doing video, look at them and say, I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to. I'm not going to be able to. I can no longer because I'm a coward.
I love you. Exactly.
So educate and inform. I gave people a framework: educate and inform, connect with, and this, you're an OG salesman. Law of association, 95% of the human beings you're talking to a real estate conversation is irrelevant to them. And that's the reason that we can get that reputation as a salesperson, because if you speak irrelevant real estate talk with someone who's indifferent, they become annoyed. That's the challenge there. So meet them where they're at. Like you've seen people doing interviews with local businesses, supporting local businesses, local community events. Be that person that invoke the law of association with your community. At the same time, educate and inform. Here's a big one that I want everyone to capture. So you got two choices. The beauty of this thing right here? It used to be and after 30 plus years, many of my years, I was a product of the news. And stay with me. And I've been through different markets, .com bust, all this. I was a product of the news. Today, you don't have to be, because you can be the news. The barriers are down. The barriers are lowered. People like you, Mike, and your peers that are heavy marketers and step into a stratosphere where, the entry barrier is so massive and it just separates agents. Well, this thing has, I'm not saying, that this thing puts you on radio or TV. The power of it, the psychological power of it, all those barriers down. Well, that person has this, that person has that. You have this, and the only thing that you need to have with it is a desire to educate, a desire to inform, and courage.
Love it. You're absolutely right. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was, since we're so much more relationship based, or a lot of us are now, there was something else I learned that I wanted to help other team leaders learn. So you beat it into our heads all the time that we want to give people the chance to experience what it's like to work with us before they do. And I really started applying that to recruiting, right? I said, I want to build my team. My team kind of went down to nothing, and I want to rebuild it. So we started being very active on social media and within the community, and we were showing what the coaching looks like, what the team leader looks like, what the transaction coordinator looks like, what the marketing coordinator, and the agents started being attracted to our team, so we hired a lot of people in the last couple of months, and our team's growing and we're learning and having a good time. And what was funny is, practice and repetition create habitual, movements, right? So I started to treat my client experience the same way. I was showing the public, whether it was Instagram or Facebook or, lives, what it was like to work with Team Bjorkman. How we do our virtual marketing and how we really do pre-market homes before they even meet us for buyers. And I was showing them our customer service, and I was giving amazing props to my team, and we were doing unusual marketing and beautiful marketing and beautiful presentations. I did more listing presentations in the last 30 days over Zoom that I've done in the last 2 years. I'm kind of known for starting back listing presentations over GoToMeeting back in the day, right? So Zoom came natural to me. But the bottom line is, I was giving the public that experience before they even called us. So every Zoom meeting that I've gone on recently, all I'm doing is shutting up, letting them talk, getting to know me, And then at the end of their conversation, when they can't possibly tell me anything more about themselves, I say, other than price, is there any other reason you wouldn't list your home with me? And they go, no. I don't even have to go through the marketing. I don't have to talk about my team because they've already seen it. They're so excited about the experience that I already gave them. They just want part of that now. And I'm just like, we're listing a lot of homes. I'm just like, geez, it's so true. But so team leaders out there, if you're listening, you want to be super productive and grow your business and your team, right? And I love what you've beat into my head too. You probably think I'm a weird stalker after quoting you so many times, but the reality is people join people, and there is zero problems that recruiting can't solve, right? And I've learned how to do it authentically, genuinely, truly care, come from a place of love with an amazing amount of competence, like we're talking about, and doing it and having fun doing it. And it's just such a peace now. It's like everything has come together. And not that I'm saying I'm glad all this happened, but to really have to focus on, not just the hustle, but the love that comes with hustle for the community and people and my team. And I'm not even sure what the hell I was just trying to say there, but
here's what I'd say. And, because as you asked that question, I didn't want it to come across as I know everything, because my goodness sakes, I'm seeking every single day. When you ask, what did I really learn? And in that belief, though, in passing everyone else that we have, it is what you're talking about, Mike. And I think my biggest thing that I recognized is many of us lean too much in personality. And personality is fleeting. Personality is charisma. Personality, actually, if you want to get down to it, doesn't have substance to it, and it won't endure. What you're talking about, and the great thing that I learned is, wow, we are really tilted. We all do. We talk about the importance of relationships, emotional intelligence, emotional maturity. But what I really learned is, although we talk about authenticity, transparency, and all of these things in the business, but what I learned is that agents were further, and leaders were further away from principle than I thought. Believe me, I know the principles. I'm not saying I live them perfectly, but I know to move through my life after my series of misadventures years ago that I grew through. I know I have to go back to them. And so they've supported me. What you're talking about, Mike, is it's the principle of contribution. You're talking about, which is really neat, is that many of the memes and quotes that we've heard you're talking about attaching to the process, detaching from the outcome. So first of all, that emerging value or principle, however you want to see it, is contribution. You're talking about a principle of people don't believe what they're told, they believe what they experience. So for the consumer, you are creating an experience of what it's going to be like when they list the property. In your recruiting, you're creating an experience for the agent, and this is for everyone else, because this is what I subscribe to. So Mike and I get along so well, is principally we really align. As a leader, your response, everyone's in the barrel of monkeys. Well, I've got this many leads, but I'll give you this split on a crescent moon and a low tide. And if you think Big Dipper, I mean, and so you're watching people battle in that, but nothing can compete with. And you're with a great organization. Keller's a great org. Coldwell Banker is. Remax is. I can show you a leader that's failing in every one of them. And so when people want to come back, and every single person should be proud of their model. Gosh, if you told me, well, I love my brand, but the model's okay. No, you better tell me it's better than everyone else's. But I'm going to promise you this. It's the person that's creating the greatest experience and recognizes in my agent uniform, in my agent, when I put my socks in the shoes of an agent, I am in the moment experience creation business, period. Mm-hmm. And when I'm in the leadership, team leadership, brokers leadership, I am in the moment experience creation business. And if I attach to that process with a true detachment from the outcome, I'm going to have the experience that you're having right now, that you articulated at the beginning of how things have progressed for you during this.
It was amazing to come out of all that and just learn so much. All right, so I want to give some actionable items to team leaders, and I thought I'd start by saying that it's our job as a coach or a team leader to, obviously attract people to the experience that we're talking about, but once we have them, we want to be consistently inspiring them, coaching them, motivating them. And my favorite, and again, another lesson I've learned from you, is holding them accountable by watching, noticing, and observing them without judgment. Now that was another very hard one for me to take on. But since I've incorporated that and being a leader of a lot of people, and there's over 700 people in my organization that I'm 100% responsible for, right? So, and when they come to me for help, and as a coach, you're just like, if you just freaking do what I said, and I told you this, and I told you that, and when you started, I told, and it's so hard to take us out of that and just say, you tell me, what's going on. I'm noticing, I'm observing, not judging you. You're a good fit, you're not a good fit. That's a decision you get to make, and it's really helped me because it's lowered my blood pressure dramatically, right? Now I'm just this calm dude like you, just whatever, like it's really a neat feeling to have. And I think a lot of that is because I did listen to you and I did rest a lot more, right? I can do amazing things, very powerful things in very short spurts, but they make dramatic, just crazy things happen, right? But the rest I started taking more. But the fact that I was now holding people accountable differently, but yet inspiring and motivating and training them, that inspired me daily to be a better person and to be a better team leader and to stop my own BS in my own head, stop lying to myself, and make me get more real with myself. So the fact that I was pushing my team to stardom made me a consistent, better leader. And I hope I'm explaining that right, because what I really want the team leaders to know is be careful how you judge and hold your team accountable, because they're people. They want to enjoy the experience. And then the rest of it is be consistent with your coaching and having somebody hold you accountable, right? Like I even have, you don't know it, but you hold me accountable when I listen to your podcasts and your trainings and stuff. And it's very hard for somebody like me to have somebody hold you accountable, right? Like, so, but if you get real with yourself, inspire, lead, train, motivate, and then every day you just grow as a leader. And I think, and I was trying to look for some actionable items, and I think I said a couple in there. Can you take what I said, give me your thoughts on it, and then possibly give a mental checklist? Maybe somebody's writing something down that could make more sense than I just said.
I always come back to principles, and I just said it just doesn't sound like this ethereal thing, because if you come back, it's kind of like having a script or dialogue or objection handler or language pattern. If you just always come back to principle and show up as you're going to say the right things. So some of the things the two big things right now is you've got to be courageous, and you've got to demonstrate that you're courageous. You just do. And then the other thing is a leader, the only way you're going to grow, I mean, you can grow, but you're going to have sine waves. I'm not into creating man, things are great, now they're not. Man, things are great, now they're not. The number one thing, the two areas, emotional intelligence, emotional maturity, being introspective. the leaders that I'm seeing grow, I mean, just had a guy take over 50% market share in the market, a team leader, have a combined 500 listings in sales last month. Yeah. Yeah. You know, just all kinds of growth. And you know what they're neurotic about right now? And their emotional maturity and their emotional intelligence. So what I would say to you is this, don't go down the self-help path. The self-help path, in my definition of it, is one of read the next book, do the next seminar. No, dig into one thing, something simple, and actually don't read 52 books this year. Read that one book until you've mastered it. Find your weakness in, you know, many leaders, because leaders, you're a leader, you know what your weakness is with your people. You know, I'm too harsh on them. Awesome. Then you need to learn empathy. And don't go read 52 books on it. Read that book for 52 weeks and master it. It's like it's this contest. I read 53 books. Tell me what you got out of it. Well, I don't know. Here's what I've found right now is, here's an action step for a leader. Take the word why out of your vocabulary. Why is a word of judgment. It will shift everything. Here's the second thing I want you to do as a leader. Every day you wake up, just look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. See, I'm into simplicity because as a human, you've got skills and you know, I just tend to believe everyone's good. We can just kind of get outside of the boundaries at times and need to be reeled back in. Well, the principles will bring you there. Look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs every day when you wake up and let that guide you. If you want to do affirmations, all those type of things, your morning routine, your gratitude list, all those things, those are great. But you know what you need to do? That doesn't matter. None of that matters unless you have habits. And, you know, gratitude list is great if you don't have habits. The number one habit you need to have as a leader is to be obsessed with empathy, obsessed with growing your emotional intelligence, obsessed with growing your emotional maturity, obsessed with eliminating the word why out of your vocabulary, because you are fighting human nature. Because then if you're studying Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which says next to food, water, air, shelter, we want love, recognition, and belonging. Stop trying to move people to self-actualization. See, I've got Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and I've got Maslow's hierarchy of needs for real estate. I want you to think about this as a leader. I want you to think about this when you're recruiting. See, you're trying to move people to self-actualization. The message you lead with is, come join us, you'll sell $1 bajillion worth of real estate. What you're not listening to is humans are unconsciously programmed to know if I fit in. And that takes you right back to what Mike said at the beginning. He's demonstrating. Think about this, leaders. Think about when you've joined some new mastermind, or you've joined some new club, or you've moved into a new neighborhood. Do you show up as your true person, your highest version of self? No, you're maneuvering around to find where you fit. How about if you help people fit, okay? And that comes with you taking personal responsibility and growing that area of you. Eliminate the word why with what. Number 2, acknowledgement, love, recognition, and belonging. You must have an acknowledgement, a public acknowledgement system and process that you are as obsessed with in how many leads you're going to get and how quick you're going to respond to them. Because I don't care how many leads you have if you don't have the people, and that's the secret weapon. You heard Mike talk about it before. He's talking about people. He didn't talk about, let's have a talk, John. You work with big teams. I've got a big business. Let's talk about leads. No, everyone talks about leads, ISAs, and this and that. But you know what? That's the symptom of the disease. The disease is, and I'm being kind of extreme, and I guess maybe not appropriate, but listen.
Oh, it's fine. I get it.
Yeah, if someone gets sensitive on that, well, get over yourself, because, you know, believe me. You know where my intention is. It's our inability to move through people, move space through people by acknowledging, recognizing, and knowing the fine line. Here's the next one. Watch this. You'll see. Now you're going to contradict yourself. No, not. Here's who's rising up right now. The people that are taking the risks in the relationships with those they lead. And here's what I mean. Challenging them. And some of us need to, challenge them. You're doing people a disservice. You can come down on me. figure of speech. John, you know what? And it's this, hey, listen, you need to do your activities. Hey, listen, I'm worried about your income for the next 90 days, and I'm worried about your family, and I want to support you. How can I support you? Did I say anything about you need to make X calls, you need to do this, you need to do that? Let them self-discover, okay? Well, what do I need to do? Well, let's go back and revisit. Allow people to craft it. Acknowledge them. Challenge them more today than ever, but with love. See, the highest form of love is accountability, but if you move that word why, see, when you say why to me, my first thing is I need your acceptance. You need to understand that as a leader. I want your acceptance. I just need to get through this moment with you. I'm not even worried about doing my job. I just want to get through that moment. And so you're shutting a human being down. You're putting another emotional block on them. Eliminate the word why. Acknowledge an agent on your team or your brokerage, on your personal Facebook page, at least once a day. At least once a day. Have a recruiting system and process that you manage and improve on as intensely as you do your lead gen. Period. Because I know those are gaps. I know leaders still have why in their vocabulary, and it's a productivity killer. I know leaders aren't publicly acknowledging agents on their personal Facebook page, daily basis, on your personal Facebook page. Number 3, I know most leaders do not have a system and process for recruiting that is at the level of their system and process for recruiting buyers and sellers. Oh, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Well, that's one of the 3 silos, right? Who wakes up every day obsessed with recruiting? Who wakes up every day obsessed with, retention, right? But now we're getting into the meat and potatoes of what I wanted to talk to. And with that, because I know we're going to jump right past this and I don't want to. You said something brilliant again the other day. That's like the 3rd thing you've ever said brilliant, right? It's like,
I'm racking them up.
It shocked me to the core because it was another slap in the face. Like you're one of the only people that can intimidate me to open my mind, right? So I go, what did he just say? I rewound it on the podcast and I said, holy shit. He just said, stop recruiting to your culture, recruit to your subculture, because your subculture is where you want to be, because nobody has the perfect culture on their team. No matter what they say, they're all full of it. So that was an eye-opening moment for me too. I'm like, I could breathe. Okay. I'm not going to worry about sucky culture right now. I'm going to worry about bringing people in. And then you said something even more brilliant. Let them see their replacement. And I was like, oh, I love Jon. Like those are some really powerful words. And it takes a long time of being in the business to notice that stuff. So with knowing that we're recruiting to a subculture that we're dreaming and building, and having somebody, which in my organization is me, waking up every day, obsessed with recruiting and building the team. And unfortunately, the next silo that I need to work on is more of the retention piece, because I need help with that, which I understand and I'll admit out loud. But like, dude, if you're going to be a leader and relaunch your team through this end of COVID thing, like, think about the things we're talking about here. This is what it's all about, right? When you're talking about building a massive team or even a small team. And okay, I think, but sorry, bro, I just totally take over your talk. I get so excited. So challenging these people. All right. So what I just said, what was your thoughts after that on taking this team to the next level?
Mm-hmm.
I know I said a lot.
I think, no, I just come back to culture, subculture, and typically I love it. Mike brings it out, typically it's a boardroom conversation, but it's from a space of love. So your standards are who someone sees behind them, not what you have on the paper. Because I can go investigate and what's your standard? 25 per person, 25 or you're off the team. Awesome, let's pull out your P&L. Hey, what are those 0s and 2s and 3s? And it's just real, okay? The motivation comes from within. Inspiration comes from experiences. Inspiration has an emotion to it that moves people. we get inspired by seeing ourselves maybe being replaced on Maslow's hierarchy of needs of belonging. You can train, watch this, you train your people, don't allow me to train mine. You can't recruit people, but I can. I'm going to smoke you. I'm going to smoke you. Because I don't care, we're told not to compare ourselves. Listen, everything has its duality. It's very healthy to compare ourselves against others as long as we have emotional maturity and the ability to say, wow, Mike did that. Mike did good. That's better than what I'm doing. Awesome. Mike, how'd you do that? You know, that's comparing yourself. It's really important, right? The other importance of, wait a minute, comparing yourself. You know, I'm cruising along. I think I'm doing well. And someone new comes in, follows the system and process that's basic, that's always been the same, that Mike told me to do, but I've been old guard, and that guy's going to sell, this brand new person's going to sell as much as me this month. Nothing will get someone into action more than that. Companies and teams grow from the bottom up, not the top down. It's so neat, Mike, that we come together right now today, because it's not always and you may find this in your coaching. There'll be certain weeks where there's a theme, right? And this week's theme of through 80 calls is, you know, getting more out of my agents. I go, listen, let me know the guy or the gal that has increased per person productivity over a sustained period of time. Now, in the build, when you're bringing more people in, you're going to have a little bit more churn until you discover what your culture is going to evolve to. I mean, here's where it is. Here's the principles and values, but it's going to evolve. Sure, your per person productivity has an opportunity to grow, but it's going to land in the 20s to 30s for teams. That's, you know, what I see. Are you going to have some 40s? Are you going to have some anomalies? Yeah, but in the beginning, no, you're going to see some 10s, 15s, 20s, maybe. And so this myth of thinking that you're going to get more out of people, let me help you real quickly. Someone's going to go home after a big year on your team or in your brokerage, and the wife's going to say, listen, the money was great. The husband's going to say, hey, the money was great, but I don't even know you. Mm-hmm. And they're going to flatline. What are you going to do about that? Train them more? No. Someone's going to go through a divorce. Someone's going to go. So what I would say is this. Really what we're doing is, because everyone's going to have different years. Sure, you've got your 5% to 10% that are going to stay on that trajectory. They're going to be the front runners. But you're going to have your middle to cores that'll, you know, they stay pretty steady, and some will fall out. Something will happen. You've got to apply that pressure from the bottom constantly. If you don't, the patients run the asylum. Number one. And so that's the thing you're pointing out there is, and how do you do it? What I would do is you do a self-assessment, and a real neat self-assessment exercise I tell leaders to do on a monthly basis. Maybe it's every 2 weeks. You go down your roster and you look at dependent as you're looking at a culture audit. You go next to each name and you slot your people. I know, slot them. Dependent, independent, interdependent. And it's not trying to move people into more production. It's trying to move people into interdependence. It's moving your dependent people into interdependence. And those are your needy ones. And those are the ones that call you got a minute. Okay. And then you need to move your independence into interdependence. What do I do with them? So with the dependents, what you do is you allow them to self-discover. With the independence, leave me alone, you teach them the principle of contribution is how you grow your business. Because the independents are typically the people that are the mavericks out there kicking butt, but ultimately we know they're going to hit a place in their life and business where they're not fulfilled, which then will affect the trajectory of the business. So it's constantly looking at your roster. Okay, I've got my silo of people that are interdependent. I've also always got the dependents and the independents, and then operating every day to get them all in that center silo. Some will choose to come in, some will opt out, but then applying pressure from the bottom in who you hire with that interdependent spirit. Also assess, write down everything that's going wrong in your organization that you don't like and you want to change. Let me know how it goes, calling a meeting and letting everyone know I'm changing this. Let me know how many agents you have left after that meeting. Let me know, okay? certainly, there's a way to merge these things in, but the ultimate way is to say, oh, I need to look at my hiring process and I need to change my language as I bring people in. And I can correct that in the messaging I use to attract people, okay? And the way that I hire them with the expectations, and then that subculture takes over. And that's how you evolve it. That's what I heard.
That was spectacular. Sometimes I wish I could explain things like you. All right. So the other thing that my coaching clients are asking me right now, they're saying, Mike, I want to really step up my training. And some of my students don't have access to what we have, right? So they're like, Mike, I want to train the holy crap out of my team, yet I'm hearing us talk about let's train less. Let's stop training as much. So I'm sure there's really badass team leaders watching and listening to this going, well, which is it? Do you train the crud out of your team or do you stop training your team? What are your thoughts on that right now and emerging out of COVID?
Ratio, I'd call it an 8. And I'm pulling this out of, this is the scientific wild ass guess in the swag it. I'm going to swag it, Mike.
Okay. Swag away.
And if I were to say, I'd say it's probably a 80-20. I'd say it's 20% training, 80% accountability the right way. And it's creating, and you should pull away from this, ladies and gentlemen. Think about the fine line between tension and stress. Tension facilitates creativity. Stress shuts a human being down. So yes. Now, am I seeing, and believe me, I will stand corrected, because I have always been the one of less meetings, and yet I've watched people that also operated that way have subscribed to more of them and done really well with it. But you know what the meetings are? They are public acknowledgement, grandstanding, not from a place where you get sick of that person, grandstanding, acknowledging someone that did what we expect, having them unpack it. What I want to say to you is this: everything you want your agents to do, every message you want to get to your organization, be obsessed with seeing how you can get the agents to communicate it. Well, the way to communicate it sometimes is saying, Sally, you did X. Share with us how you did it. And you weren't doing it before. Where was the breakthrough? How are you feeling then?
Love that.
How are you feeling now? What could you contribute back to everyone else? The reason I'm going there, ladies and gentlemen, is because I just want the people on my team or my brokerage, someone to see where they fit in the story. So it's important for me to go back to where he was frustrated, because someone's going to be frustrated.
Right.
It's important to break down the tactical parts of it, because maybe someone's in it, but they're missing the subtlety in doing it. So I think it is not public shaming, but publicly putting the numbers out there, reviewing them, acknowledging people. And then here's how I would train what I'm seeing happen. Train to the need right now. Because if we're seeing people come together more, and they're not going to let go of it actually either. People that were doing one team meeting and one training a week are now going to go, I'm going to Zoom once a week. The show up ratio is better. And so what I would say is, when you get that sort of intimacy with your people, you're in the day-to-day trenches with them. You're going to get a real life now experience that's relevant. That's a coaching opportunity. Don't overwhelm them. Training overwhelms them. They do nothing. So look to the accountability at a high level, the acknowledgement at a high level, and then pick your coaching opportunities. Now, listen, there's a caveat. Someone brand new needs to know how to write a contract. That's a whole different thing. But yes, back it down.
There's people for that. We pay $1 million a year in dues at our boards. All right. So if I'm an agent and I'm coming out of this a little bit scared still, but I really want to do good. What do you think, as an agent, not a team leader? Because I know there's a lot of agents that listen to this too. But what are maybe like the top 2 or 3 things an agent might want to focus on today coming out of this? I know we talked a lot about it, but I mean, what if it boiled down to 2 or 3 things, what do you think they should really try to focus
on? Every friend, neighbor, and relative, the same old thing. Every friend, neighbor, or relative, reaching out from a true space of nurture in every way, shape, and form. How are you? Just certainly They know you're a real estate agent. I mean, checking in, checking in, checking in, checking in. And so that's just the simplicity. Friends, neighbors, relatives, everyone. From a tools wise, and I watched it. I watched my guy who took over 50s in a population of 31,000. There were 65 sales in his market. He sold 37 of the houses. His team.
We were talking about that, dude, the other night. That's awesome.
So yeah, but let me share. Guess what he did? He went all in on his personal Facebook page, and this is a 9-10 year radio television marketer that did some budget stuff. He went go where the eyeballs are. Social media, educate and inform, and lose your calls to action on every single time. Connect with the community, with the vehicles in the platforms or where people act. Simple. Be the news.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that. Stop the call to action. So I listened to you, and I did a new video series for a Facebook ad campaign. And at the end of the day, it's to get agents to join my personal sales team, right? But we have 5 videos out, and of course we're remarketing these people to death, and there's no calls to action. All I'm doing is talking to them about education and informing them. So to the point where my phone's ringing now going, why are you sending so many of these videos just training real estate agents out, training real estate agents? And I'm like, well, because that's my passion. That's what I do. I'd like to help people like yourself skip over 20 years of mistakes. Do you feel like that could be a good fit for you? Would you like to talk to me tomorrow on Zoom? Right? I'm like, holy shit, that's working. They're coming to me. It's a fantastic campaign, and I want to share it with everybody. The other thing that I was talking about, I pulled it right out of you. What a couple things the agents should be focusing on. Now, as a coach, as a trainer, as a team leader, I know there's 2 different things that agents should be doing right now. And I was, when we first got locked down, and I think we had this conversation, but I was up to 50 to 100 private Facebook message videos a day. I would sit there and I would do 50 to 100. And the day I hit 100, I think I went live and talked about it, but I was getting a listing almost every single day from it. But I was truly just saying hi, just literally saying, I haven't seen you in a while. We're Facebook friends, but I don't ever, just random crap along with my birthday messages every day on my birthdays. But at the same time, and I guess this is for any agent, and I want them to focus so hard on that, but at the same time I want them to focus on building a database that continuously grows, right? What sucks about my Facebook is I can only have 5,000 people on there, right? So every morning I wake up and I see who's relevant or important, or people that I learn from, laugh with, or can teach, right? If they're not part of that, I delete them off Facebook, so then I can let some more people into my life, right? So you either get a birthday video or you get deleted. There's no in between, right? So, but at the same time, I want the agents to know that to build your database in the background while you're working, because we know it takes a long time to nurture some of these online leads and today's traditional where we're getting the leads from, but you still have to build your database up, and that's what I want people to understand. And there's a million different ways to do that, and that's for another time, another call. But I don't want agents to say, oh, I'm only going to work on my sphere of influence, because that's not the point I'm trying to get across. But the point I think you're trying to get across along with me is keep reaching out to people that love you or you love, or people that are, friends of friends, even just, cast that net personally and watch how devastating it is with new business coming in and the referrals. Oh my God, the referrals that I've been getting lately from, people that I forgot about. Oh, so-and-so referred, so-and-so referred. I'm like, yeah, they saw you on Facebook doing something. And, it's just amazing what happens. So I guess that's number one, right? What would the second thing be that an agent would focus on?
Well, there's the reach out, but then leverage the most powerful platform on the planet. It's like I said with Nick, in what he's done. All of your gather, what is something of value you can give to people? What is something of value? Well, right now, the greatest value is the true news. And I'm not going to get into fake news and whether it's Fox, it's MSN, but I'm going to get into the true news. And it's one of the messages that my clients are going with. This doesn't cost you anything. And if you have a message that works, It doesn't cost, you know, if you want to spend a couple bucks on boost or a lot of bucks on boost, be the news. Because if you're not the news, you're going to be a product of the news, and you're going to be in the barrel of monkeys. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, I see statistics where sales are skyrocketing back up, where they're going down. I see people hiding. I see people showing up. But the thing that you need to know is that, in the reaching out, that's just not enough. Be multi-channel. Be multi-channel. For example, Mike, we were talking about, we've got a YouTube session later today, right? Because the people I work with, we know that okay, whether it's my Zillow, it's pay-per-click, or it's my SEO, or it's my billboards, or my radio, or it's my television, or it's my email, or it's my text message, or whatever. If you're missing one part of the traffic machine, and I'm not saying you got to do radio and television, but if you're not, you know, investing at that level, if you're not investing in PR, and I'm not saying you need to, well, you better not overlook the one that's freaking free, YouTube. I mean, you've got to be omnipresent. If you're new or newer and you've got your sphere of influence, awesome. You know what? You want to catch your people when they wake up in the morning and they check their Facebook updates. You want to be that person when they're in line and they're strolling through, you know, to get a nice latte. You better be on Instagram. The same message, just move it across. And then when they're, you know, multitasking with TV going on and they've got on YouTube, you better show up again on YouTube. Have an educational, informational message that supports the reach outs so that people see what you're doing. Reaching out, in educational and informational. What's the market truly doing? And here's the other part, and what it's doing. And I'm watching people do this thing, man. All they're telling is the good news. And you know what without saying anything else, and I'm going to tell you what the consumer thinks: you're a liar.
Yeah.
Rah. I'm watching people get massive engagement. There's a gentleman in Vegas that brings it real. My brother had showed me I never met him before. I like to watch people in their craft. He's bringing it raw and real. And maybe there's some people that feel he's wrong, right? I don't know. I've lived there a long time and I've watched that market go, and he's not bringing the good news, right? I mean, I can share with you some news. I mean, Pulte Homes sold 159 homes one month. They sold one the next month. That's not good news.
No.
And he's not hiding it. Whereas the others saying, let me tell you why it's so great. And they're leaving things out. Well, here's what's interesting. He's tilted in his news that he has, the information he has. I mean, why would a real estate agent want to come and say, here's all the bad news? I don't know, unless there's this, I'm going to play the lightning rod. No. And you want to know what's very interesting? And this is the thing I want you to bring, folks, don't be the cheerleader, be the truth. The threads, wow, thank you for the truth. You're my agent to choose. You know what? We are buying. Because no matter what the circumstances, people still have a need.
Yeah.
And the truth wins. So be reaching out, but then be omnipresent, omni-channel with an educational, informational, relentless pursuit of the truth. Don't leave the whole story out. People, there's enough information out there. Give people the whole story and be consistent. Right.
That was beautifully put. So the third thing that I want to throw in there, and you can add a fourth if you want. And it goes back to, you just kind of put it a little clearer in my mind. You could be a product of the news, or you can be the news, right? And I'm all about being the news. But here's something you said the other day that also was really important to me. We could talk about the economy and live in the economy, or we can be our own economy.
Yes.
And that would be my third recommendation for an agent, even a team leader, hell, anybody listening to this. I forbid myself to be caught up in that economy that everybody was talking about, almost hoping for. All the drama lovers were almost hoping for the bottom to drop out. I was like, what are you, crazy? Like, shut up. And then there was people so scared, and I was like, I'm not going to live in that economy, because I do create my own economy. Like our business increased, right? Like I told you the other night, we just bought a beach house last week. Like, that's creating your own damn economy, right? Like, that's real. And I don't want agents to be stuck, and I don't want to be the cheerleader, but I still want to be optimistic, right? Remember, there's a fine line here that I don't want to cross. But at the same time, I talk to so many agents every day that are just like, well, we're just waiting for this to be over and the economy will pick back up. I'm like, no. Read your MLS statistics every day. People are moving and grooving like there's no tomorrow. Like, when is the last time you've seen a buyer's market and a seller's market where the seller's like, yeehaw, I'm getting everything I've ever wanted. And the buyers are going, yeehaw, I'm getting everything I've ever wanted, right? In my market, which is a very small market, we're selling 20, 30 homes a day. Like, it's nothing. In the San Fernando Valley right below me, they're like 50 homes a day. And like, people are moving. And I tell my team, like, create our own economy, because I love when we talk to people that are considering moving, and like I've done a little observing and holding accountable to my team, like saying, listen, I know it's fun to get a lead that wants to move when their furlough's over, but maybe we can try to focus on people that have to be moving, not wanting to, right? So create your own economy and kind of put your blinders on. Don't be stupid, be informed but not inundated, obviously, as we hear, but like, live in that. And how would you speak to that to an agent as far as creating their own economy?
Sure. And just taking what you said at a more granular level, you can't control interest rates. You can't control the number of sales. You can't control the stock market. You can't control the virus. So stop losing and using energy on things you can't control. Now watch what I just did, ladies and gentlemen. I just went back. Well, I've always known that. See, I hope if anything in our discussions here, what you catch is we're really simple guys. It's really simple stuff. The simple solves the complex. The stock market's complex. It's above my pay grade. The interest rates, financial markets, they're above my pay grade. GDP, it's all above my pay grade. What I wake up and choose to do with my actions, I own it, man. And so what I'm doing is, don't dilute your energy. What Mike's telling you is, wake up am I saying be freaking the cheerleader, the kitchen's on fire, and you're going to let, everything? No. I'm informed. Mike's informed. And so that we can inform the people we're with. But it's really not that hard when you're having a conversation with people. Instead of going to, what do you think? You ask them, how are you feeling about the market? How are you feeling about buying now? How are you feeling? And just like Mike said, as he was talking to his sellers earlier, just let people talk, and they'll talk, and they'll get to the truth. And so what I want to encourage all of you to do is, that's all I'm doing, is I'm just getting to the truth. The truth is, your actions will dictate everything. The simplest exercise I give everyone I work with is, I say, when things are going wrong, things don't feel good, take the mirror that's at waist level and just put it up at eye level. And when you do that, then things will change.
Right. There's one other thing that I was really focusing on in the beginning of all this, and now I want to focus on it again towards the end, because I think I lost focus with most of my students. But everybody all day long is talking about what they don't have, right? I don't have, well, you get to go to a restaurant, but we don't. So like, I don't get to do this. I don't get to do that. I can't do this. I can't do an open house. I can't door knock. Yeah, well, how about focus on what the hell you can do and what you do have, right? Like, I just completely took over everything that I could do. And I was like, I'm glad. I even told my team the other day, and I hope some of them are listening to this. I said, listen, I know in your ICA it says we require you to do 2 open houses a month, but watch this. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure you never do an open house again, unless you want to. Same with door knocking. Same with this. Work smarter, not harder. Now I'm taking all the things. It's funny too, how everything that was taken away from me are things that I hate. I hate open houses. I hate door knocking. I hate, all these massive social gathering. I hate all that stuff, right? And they took it all away. I'm like, okay, good. So my business improved even better. But I guess that would be kind of number 4, right? Focus on what you have, use what you have, and take this time really to perfect something that will help your future. Like, clean up your attitude or non-skill set of something. Like it was funny when I was teaching people how to do listing appointments over Zoom a couple months ago. They're like, oh, I didn't know that. They're like, what do you mean you're listing presentations on your website for everybody to see? I'm like, yeah, dude, like I want people to see this stuff. Like that's me, right? So I guess that would be number 4. Focus on what you have and use the heck out of it, and stop worrying about what you don't have, because it's not going to matter until somebody gives it back to you, really.
Or what you might lose and you haven't even lost it yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's the scarier thing, right? People are like, oh my God, the sky is falling. I'm like, well, it hasn't fallen yet. Go get a sunburn.
Yeah.
Go get some vitamin D, man. Jeez. All right, man. I know it's been over an hour. I can't believe it. I've had a blast doing this, and I really appreciate you, man. Give me some of your final thoughts, and then I'm gonna ask you one more question before we go.
Sure. My final thought is take care of the principle that I was taught, and I'll leave everyone with this one, is be self-centered. And let me define it for you. And the amazing women entrepreneurs that I get to work with, I mean, they're raising babies, single moms and married, but they're still, they get to raise their husband too. The men are going to hate me for that. they're just so, but a lot of it with these women that just get amazing results. And it's remarkable to me, but it's not because I say it not out of a disrespect, is because I watched my mom do it as a single mom. So that's why I think I really have an affinity to women in business, but I'll take to everyone, but it's what I really share with the moms. Self-serving means this: I can be a better real estate agent. I can be a better leader. I can be a better mom. I can be a better dad. I can be a better friend if I'm self-serving. Don't, have boundaries. You've heard it before, but I'm looking at y'all in the whites of your eyes. And I'm just saying, like, for example, my mom was here. I love my mom. She came in. That's why I came to Utah. There was more freedom. I had control over where I was living, and things were open here. So I took action, right? And we made plans, and I was unwavering. Unwavering that I'm going to the gym. I was unwavering of what I'm going to eat. I'm unwavering. My brother's here right now. It's my brother and sister-in-law, and my nephew came up. They know they're unwavering. And so, but guess what? I can show up better. So can you. Be unwavering if it's your health. Be unwavering if it's your spirituality. Be unwavering if it's your skill building. Be unwavering if it's your ability to forgive at a higher level. Be unwavering in your contribution. Look at your holes. Stop taking care of other people before you, because if you're doing that, you're only giving them about 50% of how you could show up.
Take care of yourself first. All right, so this is the last thing. So for those of you listening, if you've never met Jon before, he's a very dynamic, awesome, studly dude. But more importantly, for a living, he coaches some of the top agents and top teams in the nation and gets paid highly to speak. So Jon, I want people to be able to reach out to you and say, I'd like to talk to you about coaching. I'd like to talk to you about coming to one of my events and speak. Is Googling Cheplak Live the best way to get a hold of you?
They can just get cheplaklive.com is my website. Or Cheplak Live is also Insta. And then just simple Jon Cheplak on Facebook.
Yeah.
So cheplaklive.com.
So if you guys are serious about taking your business to the next level, Jon is somebody who I would highly recommend you give a call to. And thank you so much for doing this. And the last thing I want to say is please, please, please do more podcasting, because it helps the world. And it is one of my favorites.
And that's why we're brothers, man. Thank you for the accountability.
No, I love it, and it changes my days. It changes my life. I feel closer to you. You're not out of sight, out of mind. Even on lockdown, I'm still with you every day. And I know there's hundreds of thousands of agents that could benefit from listening to that. And then if you guys have not caught my podcast, it's realestatemarketingshow.com, realestatemarketingshow.com. In the last 13 weeks, I've done a coaching call every single Monday out of Agent Mechanics coaching group on Facebook. If you guys want to join that, you can. I'm committed to coach every single Monday morning, something that's actionable that you can do in today's market to make more money working smarter, not harder. That's Agent Mechanics Facebook group. I think it's called Agent Mechanics Coaching with Mike Bjorkman. So that's it, dude. I love you. Thank you so much. You mean everything to me, and anything I can do for you, you just let me know back. And people listening, if you could follow him on Instagram and give him a shout out and thank him for taking over an hour of his time, which, so you know, is probably close to $1,500 normally if you were to write a check to Jon. Okay, brother, have a beautiful day.
You bet. Thanks, Dan.
Bye, guys.